What's good, everybody? It's your brother Mad Black, the most dangerous and the most toxic black man on the internet. The brother who told you that maybe you should not be depending on donations for your daily bread, but you did it anyway, and now your ass is out here begging for money. And I am black up in your face again with some more pro black commentary. So, if you don't know, the prince of Pampookism, Umar Johnson, is out here down bad begging for money on social media. And when I say this, some people might say, like, well, what else is new, right? Umar begging for money, but this is different. This is him begging for personal money. He made a distinction this time, saying that he personally needs money because his bank accounts have been frozen. So his personal account and the account that he takes donations for FDMG have been frozen and are in the state of being investigated. So he needs his loyal donors and his loyal fans out there to send him some money on PayPal or I think Apple Pay or something like that, right? So, it's pretty pitiful and really it's very unbecoming of a man of his age because he's way older than I am. He has at least like 6 years over me, if not more, I think. Cause I can't remember what his actual birth date is. But he, to be this old and to actually get on social media and be begging for money, like you don't have any ends, like you don't have any type of, income, even if it's like a passive income or, I don't know, income from like book sales or, I don't, something, right? And, it's real sad to see that, and I don't want to be like the guy that's kicking somebody when they're down because we've all been through it. We've all had financial troubles in our life or just been down bad. But uh, I know most of us, at least most of us black men here, we don't have the luxury to be just going on social media and asking people for donation money, right? Like there have been times in my life where I've been worse off than Umar, right? At least he has a car right here, right? He's begging for money inside his car. There are times I didn't even have that, but I never had it never occurred to me that I could just go online and ask people for money. You know what I mean? Like it's always been, I always found money somewhere or found a way to go out there and make money if I need to. Find any odd job I could to make money. I remember one of the worst odd jobs I ever had in my life was being one of those people that uh like give out like drink tickets and bracelets for people to come to the club at night. This is when I lived in Miami and I was still single. I remember doing that. That was one of the worst jobs ever. Having to be out all day trying to get people to come to the club or whatever. And then at the end of the club night, they would tally how many people, that you personally gave tickets to brought their tickets in, and then they would tally up the money and pay you the money as the club is closing. So you had to be there at like 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock in the morning. And I just remember being dog tired after doing that because you're up all day trying to get people to come to the club, and then at night you're out there just like tired and trying to get your little bit of pay because they didn't even pay you that much. But that was maybe one of the worst odd jobs I ever had. But it was something that I did because I needed to pay bills, right? I did not have the luxury to be out there begging somebody for money to send to me so I could take care of myself. As a man, especially, and when I say that this happened to me, I was in my early 20s. I think I was maybe like, 21, 22 years old. I was not a 50-something-year-old man like Umar. By the time you get to 50-something, unless you've had some sort of like medical problem and, you're an able-bodied man, right, that apparently has degrees and skills, you should be not out here begging for money on social media. You know what I'm saying? And to see this from Umar, it's pretty pitiful. It's very disheartening. And he's just a big disappointment. And really, things have been going bad for him like all summer long. All summer, he's been kind of, like grasping at straws and trying to pull himself up because a lot of his bad karma has caught up with him. So the first big thing that helped to put the nail in his coffin was his daughter. His oldest daughter came out against him and basically tore him down and showed that he's not been a good father. He's not been in her life at all. And whatever you could say about her, he's part of the problem, right? I couldn't imagine a situation where my daughter would ever talk about me the way that she's talking about him. She has no respect for him whatsoever, right? And that's terrible, right? If you haven't been in your child's life like that, and they feel the need to just come on social media and disrespect you, that just shows what type of a terrible parental figure you were, or just completely absent altogether, right? So that was the first strike for him. The second one came, and I thought about doing a video about this, but I just never got around to it, and I didn't feel like doing it, really, just be honest about that. But the second one was a lady that used to date Umar has been going on different platforms basically talking about the state of his mother, because he takes care of his mother apparently, not really, but the state of the house that they live in and just how crazy he acts and whatnot, and all the weird things he does during their relationship. And what's crazy is Umar, in both of these situations I just named, if he had just shut up and not said anything, he probably wouldn't have got as much kickback as he has. But the fact that when his daughter made a video, he went out there and tore her down, right? And tore down her mother and started talking about, we're going to set up I'm going to join with other black men to fight the family court system and stuff like that. That didn't go well. Like, his response made things worse. And then when he was responding to his former lover or whatever, right? That made things even worse. Like, he tearing her down, he said that they were not in a relationship. She only gave him head. He used a different term, and if you've seen the video, you know what I'm talking about. I'm not going to get into that here. But he said she just gave him head, and then she wanted him to go down on her, but he refused to do so because her crotch smells like a dead fish, or a dead fish tank, or whatever he was saying, right? And so some of you have seen it. And once again, like I said, I thought about doing a video about it, but I just didn't want to. And the stuff he says is, he goes all out in as far as trying to tear this woman down. And when I saw that, and I was like, if you had any respect for him before that, you would have to lose a lot of respect of what he said about this woman after the fact, because that's very juvenile. That's something that, I recall guys in middle school and high school doing, right? Like, when they were in denial or didn't want anyone to know that they had sex with a certain female, they start tearing the female down and say, oh, I only got head from them, and their coochie stinks and stuff like that. It's like I said, it's very juvenile. And the fact that he's, once again, in his 50s talking about a woman like this, you look ridiculous doing that on social media. You'd have been better off just shutting up, or if you were going to get some sort of legal action, just do that, right? So that was strike 2 for him, right? And like I said, his responses to these things have made it even worse. So now, I guess we're on strike 3, because he went over to Africa and was doing his lecture tour. Now, I'm trying to figure out, like, what's the problem here? Like, if you went on a lecture tour, you didn't get paid for these lectures. Like, what do you need money for? Like, you didn't have any money or get any money or any donations while you were there? Like, what is going on here? I'm sure you got paid, right? So he went over to Africa and says that, he came back and found that he just has no money, or his bank accounts have been frozen. So I'll let him explain it here in the audio. You folks can listen to it here, and you let me know what you think about it. But I'm going to give you my commentary as we dip through here. So let's listen to the first part right here of how he found out his accounts were frozen.
Text message from one of my homies. He needed Dr. Umar to send him a couple dollars. This morning, I received a text message from one of my homies. He needed...
And forgive me for having to play this. He likes to repeat things, but, he says stuff over and over again. First of all, I want to know what homie is this asking Umar for money, right? Like, Who's that person? That person must be really down bad if they're asking Umar for money. You know what I'm saying? Let's listen to what he has to say here.
The Umar to send him a couple dollars. I logged into my account just to check my balance because I haven't done so since I left for South Africa back on July 10th, only to discover that I could not log into my account. I could not log into my account. So then I called the bank to find out what was going on. And the bank told me to enter my 16-digit card number. I did that. They told me they had no record of my account. They had no record of my account. The bank that I've been with since I was a teenager told me they had no record of my account. So then I called the bank. And the bank told me that my personal account, as well as the independent Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy account, have both been frozen. Both bank accounts have been frozen. Both bank accounts have been frozen.
Okay, we get it. Now, my whole thing is this. Like, now I understand, I obviously I've been banking since I was a teenager. So I understand, like, back in the day, I remember they used to like freeze your account if there was any type of suspicious activity. But now everything is digital. They usually give you alerts to let you know if something's going on your account so you can handle it before it gets to that point where they're, completely just freezing your money. So I'm almost wondering if, like, the so-called fraudulent activity on his account was him. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm not necessarily saying that he was committing fraud, but what I'm saying is if he was in another country using his bank account, they might think that a fraudster has taken your account and is using your card or whatever, or using your card number. So they might freeze it just because, but usually they check with you to see, like, if you're the person that's doing it. And if he did not respond, if he does not respond or let them know, like, yes, it's me, then they will freeze your account. Because I've been in different cities where I've used certain bank accounts of my own, like my business account, and they'll make sure to see if it's actually me. But that's what I'm saying. I'll answer the alert before it gets to that point, before they decide to freeze everything or stop everything. So that's what I'm saying here. So let's listen to some more of what he has to say about this whole situation.
I believe Medea and Pastor Bussy were fraudulently trying to get into my account.
So when he says Medea, he's talking about his former girlfriend or whatever, the one he said that smells like a fish tank. And when he says Pastor Bussy, he's referring to Lennon Honor. Lennon Honor, who basically has a whole channel dedicated to, sussing out what's going on with Umar and breaking down what he has to say and his many crimes and whatnot in his life and whatever. That's what he's talking about. So Umar thinks that these two individuals tried to break into his account, which once again makes no sense. But that's what he thinks because it's the coincidence of it. Those people doing videos about him during the same time that his account got frozen. So that's what he thinks. Let's listen some more.
And if we find out that's the case, they will be sued and possibly arrested because fraudulent activity on a bank account is a federal offense. Fraudulent activity on a bank account is federal offense. Fraudulent activity on a bank account is a federal offense.
Right. And like I just explained to you, if you were somewhere in a different country using your account, then they should either let you know, or they might have assumed that you were the fraudulent activity. Or if you were over in Africa, and I'm not trying to degrade or say something bad about our African brothers and sisters, but there's a lot of fraud over there. And if someone got a hold of your information over there, they might be that fraudulent activity. You can't always just blame it on your quote unquote haters. Sometimes it might just be the situation that you're in and where you're at, right? There's a lot of fraudulent activity when you go outside the United States. So they might have gotten your number somehow and been trying to use it. You see what I'm saying? Or you might be under investigation, Umar. Who knows? I mean, you've done so much ridiculous things and so many suspect things, just collecting donations for the school that's never going to open. Maybe you're just finally under investigation. I don't know, right? Before you try to pass the buck and try to say it's your haters, just why don't you take some personal responsibility once in a while?
So the Prince of Pan-Africanism, for the first time in my life, is without any digital currency. So for my loyal supporters out there, if you can spare a few dollars so I can take care of Queen Mother Bad-Tunde and myself until my bank account is frozen or canceled so I can get my money back and open up a new account, please hit my Apple Pay.
So you as a grown man don't have a way to take care of yourself or your mama. As an adult, past the midlife point, you have no way to take care of yourself or your mama. I'll be damned. As a man, you should be ashamed of that. And this last part is hilarious because it sounds ridiculous when he says it, and I want you guys to hear what he has to say and laugh with me because this sounds absolutely ridiculous what he has to say here. Let's listen.
9899858. I've never asked the people for $1. I have never asked the people for $1 in my life.
Yes, you have, Negro. Now don't do that. Don't do that now. Come on now. All that money you've asked for is not just for donations. You've asked for money for yourself as well. I don't know why he was subbing there to tell a lie like that. Looking dusty as all get out right here. Listen some more.
I have never asked the people for $1 in my life. I've only asked you to donate to the FDMG Academy for Boys. I don't have any sons. I have 2 daughters.
That so you don't take care of. Campaign is. I don't have any boys, but you have 2 daughters that you don't take care of, never have, and didn't even try to make any attempt to. Okay? Let's be honest about that as well. You haven't tried to take care of anybody. And once again, a grown man asking for money to take care of himself and his mama is ridiculous. And to be honest, just based on his lifestyle and things that we know about him, why would I give you money if all you're going to do is blow it on hoes or whatever, right? If all you're going to do is blow it on skeezers and hood rats and everything else and trying to pretend that I'm Big Papa and all this other nonsense and sitting outside doing live streams, not putting it into this quote-unquote school that these buildings, these abandoned buildings that you have, why would I want to give you any type of money to support whatever you're doing? Because whatever you're spending money on is not for anything good based on the track record and the results that you're getting, right? So, I mean, you folks can let me know how you feel about this in the comment section. I would love to hear your opinions on this. And some people even think that this whole video that he did recently begging for money is a scam in and of itself. They think that this might be a play on people's sympathies to get some money out of them because he's not getting his usual money for donations. So, well, I don't know. It could be. But regardless, either way, I wouldn't give him anything because at this point, once again, he's not handicapped. He's not sick. You're an able-bodied man. Go out there and get a job. Go work at 7-Eleven or something. Get a UPS job, something. You should have a job and just not be out here begging people for money like this as a man. Okay? And as a young man out there, take this as an example that you should also not be out there begging for money from people like this. Don't use Umar as an example. He's a poor example of manhood and a poor example of a black man altogether. Just pitiful and trifling. You guys let me know how you feel about this in the comments section. Anyway, Mad Black, and I will be back with my foot on the devil's back.